Hello, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Diane Emery. I work in the Office of Human Resources, and I'm here to talk to you about the NSU Shark Leave process. Here is the agenda for the Shark Leave presentation. I'm going to review a typical timeline of a leave of absence. I'm going to take a look at some tools and actions that will be required of you as a supervisor. I also want to talk to you about denials and what happens when an appeal is pending. We're going to take a brief look at the portal and reports that your HR contacts will have access to, and then we'll talk briefly about the resources that will be available to you. This is a typical Shark Leave timeline. On day one, an employee should notify his supervisor and HR contact of their need for a leave of absence. The employee should be directed to and should immediately submit their request to Lincoln. On day two, a case manager will be in touch with the employee and their attending physician. An acknowledgement letter will be sent to the employee detailing their rights and responsibilities under the Family Medical Leave Act. On days 3, 4, and 5, the case manager will follow up with the physician if necessary to obtain medical records that might be needed. It's possible that a nurse or physician may review those records. Now, the average time for a determination, which is either an approval or a denial of a leave, is 7.6 days from its submission. For disability, employees have 10 days to provide Lincoln the medical certification. And for FMLA or leave, employees have 15 days to provide the certification to Lincoln. When an employee is cleared to return to work, Lincoln will be working with them in advance to determine if there's any physical restrictions. And if there are, they'll communicate those to the Office of Human Resources Benefits Department, and we'll be speaking with the supervisors and HR contacts to see if those restrictions can be accommodated. The employee is going to send a return to work form to the Office of Human Resources Benefits Department, who will notify the supervisor, the HR contact, and shared services here in the Office of Human Resources. The employee should always check in person with the supervisor when they return so that everyone is aware that they're back at work. And the employee should then text or call Lincoln to confirm their actual return. Shared services will change the status and access to Shark Time. We've prepared a supervisor discussion checklist for you so that when an employee comes to speak with you about taking a leave of absence, you should tell them to call Lincoln. Ask them how long they expect to be out or when they expect to return, and ask about any pending work that might require attention while they're away. You might want to get a current telephone number so that you can keep in touch to plan for a continued absence or return. And don't forget to mention other resources, such as our Employee Assistance Program or nurse case managers at Blue Cross Blue Shield. Employees who are dealing with difficult medical issues frequently need additional support. When the employee is ready to return, they are to send a completed return to work form to the OHR Benefits Department and notify Lincoln. So we'll get in touch with you when we receive that form so you'll be aware. Leave requests can be made online or by telephone. Log on to mylincolnportal.com and enter company code NSU-EE in uppercase letters. To report by telephone, call 1-800-291-0112. Employees should be prepared to provide their NSU ID number, reason for absence, diagnosis, and physician contact information. They'll be able to submit a medical release form by using e-signature when they report online, or by providing their voice authorization telephonically, or they can do it the old-fashioned way by downloading, signing, and returning a paper form. HR contacts and supervisors may need to report leave for an employee who's unable to do so on their own. It is recommended to do this telephonically. No medical information need be provided. The next few slides are sample emails you'll be receiving from Lincoln. This is an acknowledgement email, and it tells you that one of your employees has applied for disability or leave of absence. Hopefully, they will have discussed this with you in advance. So confirm their leave start date and ensure that they make a time off request using their sick, personal, and vacation time in advance by pay period and shark time. If the request is unable to be made by the employee in advance, the supervisor or shark time coordinator should assist them by making the request on their behalf. HR contacts will receive a copy of this email, and they'll also be taking a look at the combined status reports that they'll be receiving to ensure that the time off has been submitted and approved in shark time for all employees on leave. This is an approval notification. I've highlighted in yellow the important dates that you're going to need to use to take action. As a supervisor, you're going to want to ensure that the time off request, the sick, personal, and vacation time, and/or the short-term disability earnings code have been submitted and approved by pay period in shark time. This is the rule that you'll want to follow. If a disability type effective date is less than the approved through date, you'll use all of the accruals and then enter a short-term disability earnings code through the approved date. If the disability type effective date is greater than the approved through date, you'll enter only accruals through the approved date. Again, the HR contact's role in this is to act as a support and advisor, so please turn to them if you need some assistance. This email is a notification that an employee's leave has been extended. You'll see here that the new approved through date is January 12th. You'll want to ensure that the time off request using sick, personal, vacation, and/or short-term disability have been submitted and approved through the extended date by pay period and shark time. The rule's the same. If the disability type effective date is less than the approved through date, use all of the accruals and then short-term disability through the new approved through date. If the disability type effective date is greater than the approved through date, you'll enter only accruals. HR contacts will get a copy of this email, and they'll also be taking a look at the combined status report to ensure time off has been submitted and approved in shark time for all of the employees on leave in your center. We touched on returning to work a little earlier in the presentation, but let's go into a little more detail here. First, you should know that Lincoln provides a return to work form to every employee in their leave package. And this is the package that they receive at the very beginning of their leave of absence. Lincoln will confirm the return to work plans with the employee as they get close to their return date. And they'll determine if there's any physical restrictions or limitations. And when this happens, Lincoln will contact us in the Office of Human Resources Benefits Department to see if they can be accommodated. If we hear from them about any accommodations that might be required, we'll consult with the supervisor and HR contact to determine if this is possible. Employees will send their return to work form to the Office of Human Resources Benefits Department either by email at loa@nova.edu or by fax to 954-262-6859. We will notify you and your HR contact that we've received the return to work form. You do not need to collect these forms when the employees come in. We'll take over that responsibility. The employee should always check in with you when they return so that you know that they're physically back at work, and they should be instructed to call or text Lincoln to confirm the actual return to work. And then at that point, Lincoln will close the claim. And then you'll receive a closure notification. The important date is highlighted here in yellow, and the action supervisors need to take is simple. You need to ensure the time off request in shark time, the sick, personal, vacation, and/or short-term disability earnings don't exceed the claim closure date. The HR contacts, of course, will be available to assist you and support you. And in OHR benefits, Insured Services will update the employee status to active upon the receipt of this closure notification. When a leave request is denied, NSU policy requires that employees return to work unless they've submitted a request for an appeal. Call the employee and discuss their plans for returning to work. And if they don't return to work, speak with your HR contact or business partner in the Office of Human Resources and discuss the next steps in dealing with the continued absence. When a claim is denied, employees have 5 days to submit in writing a request for a review of the claim. They have an additional 10 days to provide any written documents or records relevant to the claim. And once the information is submitted to Lincoln, Lincoln's got 15 days to render a decision. In special cases where the claim might be particularly complex, Lincoln may request an additional 15 days. So typically an appeal and decision is rendered within 45 days. Now, notifications are sent to the Benefits Department in the Office of Human Resources when employees have submitted an appeal. And when this happens, we'll advise supervisors and HR contacts accordingly. Just a few more words about intermittent leave. You probably already know that family and medical leave can be taken on an intermittent basis. And when employees use intermittent leave, they must report as usual to you and report according to the rules and practices of your college or administrative office. Employees can report their time off to Lincoln either by phone or online, and they can report it up to 30 days in advance. It's much more typical, however, that employees report their use of intermittent time within 1 or 2 days. And we'll consider the report timely when employees call within 7 days. You should always make sure that your employees are recording their use of intermittent leave into Shark Time by the payroll deadline. The email copies that we looked at earlier in the presentation were emails that were specifically related to short-term disability claims as a standalone claim or combined with family and medical leave. I wanted to show you a sample of a notification that you'll receive when you have an employee who goes out on FMLA only. So for instance, if I left on an FMLA to care for a family member, not for my own disability, you would see a copy of this letter by email delivered to your email box. Again, I've highlighted the important dates here, the leave begin date, the leave end date, and for these dates here, you would really be entering in any accrued time that I would have available to use during my family and medical leave. At the point that I run out of any accruals, I would go into an unpaid status. So that would be the action required when you see a copy of this letter. And should you have any questions when you do see it, you can speak with your HR contact. Of course, you can always contact us in the Office of Human Resources. You'll see here a list of resources for you. All of the NSU leave policies can be found in the Employee Handbook on the OHR website. We've set up a leave of absence website that's linked through the benefits page. There you'll find copies of our plan documents, forms, and other types of resources for employees on leave, as well as resources for supervisors, including this presentation. The payroll department has prepared several Shark Time job aids that are reached through their website. And of course, if you have questions or need additional assistance, you can always consult with your Shark Time coordinator or HR contact. Thank you for viewing this training module. If you have any questions about the content of this presentation, please email loa@nova.edu and we can provide you some answers. Thank you again,